The gospel unites what is said and what is real, whereas the world loves to pull it apart. There's been a lot of talk recently about whether we're living in a post-truth age. I don't think people mean by that the kind of mass of people are rushing to the libraries to read postmodernist authors. I think there's a sense in which those people who felt themselves to be experts feel that their judgment has been rejected, that the kind of candidates and the kind of thoughts that people are turning to fell outside what was the mainstream only a short time ago. And that's unsettling for a lot of people. But I don't think that people are rejecting expertise per se. They're not saying that there is no truth to be grasped. I think what's happening is that a lot of people are rejecting the claims of those who say that they know what the truth is. And that's what makes it both an interesting and a troubling time for many. Every age has its taboos. In the 80s, in the United Kingdom, it suddenly became unacceptable towards the end of that decade to call yourself a socialist. And at a similar time, the word liberal took on connotations that were apparently damaging for candidates over there. In our times, if you are accused of any one of many phobias, that can be career terminating in any number of walks of life. Every age has its taboos, it's things that can be said, and it's things that can't be said. And the age that we're in now, I think we're witnessing a kind of tipping point of taboos. And in many ways, the Brexit vote, maybe what's happening in America, what's happening in terms of European politics, can be seen as a response to a set of people who've been told that views like yours are not in the mainstream for quite a period of time. So we've got a divide, if you like, between people who are interested in how things are, the reality of things in one sense, and between those who are interested in what is said. And that's where you get a real disconnect, people talking over each other. So you'll get one side in politics saying, they said the word that cannot be said, that's outrageous, how could anyone support someone who said the word that cannot be said? And people on the other side saying, do you know what? We're sick of being told that our words can't be said. And in fact, even saying, while I don't agree with him saying that word, at last someone's saying one of the words that can't be said. So there's a real interesting way in which the political discourse itself becomes the subject of politics. You know, we're often told that what people really care about is the economy and schools and jobs and all of that. And I'm sure that's true. But there's also a really big cultural dynamic in this. And it's a dynamic that leans heavily on the understanding that speech is a very powerful and creative act, which I'm trying to illustrate in lots of ways during these talks. So where does that take us? It takes us to a place where people do think there is truth, but that perhaps those people who set themselves up as custodians of truth were not the right people to believe in. And it brings us to a stage where people have been told that there are certain things that they cannot think and cannot say, and maybe they're reaching a point where they're feeling that they do want to think them and they do want to say them. And I think that that is a place where we should be very, very optimistic. As I said at the start, the gospel unites what is said and what is real. Jesus comes and he preaches repentance. He teaches us how to pray by saying words. Speech is there in so much of his ministry. It is a speaking ministry, not a written ministry. And on the cross, he unites that speech, that interpretation that he's been doing of his life, with the ultimate action that redeems us and that ultimately saves the world. Now, at a time where we've had a rejection of some of the guiding ideas that people have relied on for truth, and where people are looking beyond the long-standing explanations of what makes sense in the world, and where there's this divide between what's said and what's real, Jesus offers something that unites what is said and what is real in an extraordinary way. And I think that we're ripe to hear that message again.